amazing new music added daily, and one simple life.
Fill me out with your smile. Now the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame. I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down. 'Cause with you I'm safe and sound. 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 Safe and sound.
All right. How's it going? All right. It's probably going to be a short stream. I'm not feeling that good. So maybe like 2 hours max. But first, we're going to watch a sermon on the Bible passage of the week. This week's Bible passage is Romans 12, 9 through 21. Let's just watch this.
In America, the bravery of a few protects freedoms for us all.
So I guess this isn't really
When
a
we return
sermon,
home.
All right, today we're talking about 23 very practical things that we're invited to do as followers of Jesus. So, are you ready to kind of think through your life,
Here we go.
analyze your heart and your world and what it looks like, and be really practical according to the Word of God? Hey everybody, welcome.
I can't
to
believe
Bible
that
Time.
you got
Thanks
that
for
I
joining
went down
today.
to
We are in
expert
Romans
again.
Chapter 12, starting in verse 9, and I'm excited to be with you, and I'm excited to spend some time with Jesus. I just keep waking up the past couple days with this verse in my heart and my mind. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And it's just such a weird time we live in. And that's a good reminder that it's like, dude, no matter what's going on, it's still the Lord's day, still a day that He made. And we have an opportunity to rejoice and be glad no matter what's going on. And so
Yeah.
I want to invite you to do that. I want to invite you to remember that our gladness and our hope is based on relationship with God, not just following some religion, following rules, but we get to know Him. And so I continue to pray that
All right, I'm
as you read the
second.
Bible with me, that you will grow in your relationship with Jesus in a real way, and that'll transform to obedience to Him. So that's my hope for you. That's my hope for me. Go ahead and grab your Bible if you have it. Grab a pen. Hope you're there with me. This is interesting to me. Marks of a True Christian is the subtitle. Of course, we know that that's not actually in the text. That's, added later for, well, it's just difficult to read, 5,000 words just straight in a row and kind of have a framework for it. So breaking it up, the verses were not.
Brad is an
original
over-attacker.
text either. That's okay that they're added. It's simply, just to help us know where to reference. The verses are always the same for the most part in any version. The subtitles are different, and that would be whatever the translator, feels that the section is about. Anyway, we can move on, but I just want to reference this term real quick. There's only 2 times in the New Testament that it shows up, and one is in Antioch when they called them Christians, and who called them Christians was basically not unbelievers. They looked at these people and they're like, you are like little Christs, which is kind of like what the Ians is sort of a, like in Spanish when you say ito at the end, little something, and that's kind of like what this is like. They literally are looking at these Jesus followers and they're like, you're like little Christ, because they saw how they acted, they saw how they spoke, they saw how they related with each other and how they served and all these things. And so I don't know, I just think it's important for us in a culture that is so bent on titles and, well, I'm this and I'm that, and it's all this self-declaration, that we remember that how we live our life defines what we actually are, not just a little title that we put on Facebook on religious preferences. And so as we read this section, I want to invite you to read it not Not simply by saying, okay, I call myself a Christian, so now I have to do this, this, and this. But instead read it saying, hey, this is what the word says. This is what it says a little Christ will look like. Am I really that? Like, am I...
Yeah, he's a giant
worthy of the
over-attacker.
title? Is that how I...
Is he gonna
that what
hit
my heart
the
actually wants to
my
do?
four? No.
Is that what the Holy Spirit in me has regenerated me to do and to be and to live like? And obviously, if not, I'm not asking you to stop calling yourself a Jesus follower. I'm asking you to say, I need to change something so I can really be a little Christ, a little example of him. So anyway, let's jump into it. I just needed to preface that one. He says, love must be genuine, or let love be genuine. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good.
What is good.
Love one another with brotherly affection. That's phileo. City Philadelphia, city of brotherly love.
Philadelphia,
Yes.
born and raised.
Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant
whoop.
in prayer.
I meant to go.
Contribute to the needs of the saints. And seek how to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. I assume that's a reference to pride of some sort. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed
Feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink.
For by doing so, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. I mean, this is like literally a long list of, I guess you would say, commandments. You could say do's and don'ts, but we all know how our culture feels about that term. But I kind of like this subtitle. Marks of a true Christian. That these are fruits, these are evidences of, not just commandments for you to do, but they are, though, they are. But it's evidences of, like, these are the ways that Jesus followers will behave, and some of these are the things that they won't do. So, let's look at them quickly. And I just want to present it to us, myself included, to you and to me, like this. As a, probably 30 or so questions to ask ourselves. Is my love genuine? Do I abhor what is evil? Do I hold fast to what is good? Do I love the brethren with brotherly affection? Do I show honor? Am I slothful in zeal? Or fervent in spirit. I think that these two are kind of linked. Do I serve the Lord? Do I rejoice in hope? Am I patient in tribulation? Am I constant in prayer? Huh. That's an interesting one, isn't it? There's another passage that says,
I thought that it was faithful in prayer. Maybe it should, I mean, obviously it's just that it's a different interpretation, but I mean, not interpretation, but
continually.
translation.
or pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances. Oh man, I used to have it memorized. It's Thessalonians 5:17, I think. 1 Thessalonians 5:17, maybe. Anyway, and basically talks about praying without ceasing, echoing this, constant in prayer. And I used to think, like, how is that possible? How could you literally, pray like that forever? And then I read one of my favorite books, which I highly recommend to any one of you, called The Practice of the Presence of God. It's about the life of Brother Lawrence. And he was a 17th century monk. His job in the monastery was to wash the dishes and do everything else that they do. But it just is so amazing. It describes that his life was a life after the heart of God, practicing his presence in all things. And he says, to me, it was no different the assigned times of prayer than it was when I was washing dishes or doing anything else, because I was constantly in communion with God, talking to him, thinking about him, doing all things for the love of God. And so it opened my eyes to this idea that prayer is not explicitly bowing your head and closing your eyes, but that we can be constant in our communion with the Father, talking to him, listening to him, thinking about him, honoring him, doing things for the love of him. So I present to you number 10, a consistency in prayer. And is there a way that you do that? And if not, how can you grow in that? Number 11, do you contribute to the needs of the saints? Number 12, do you seek to show hospitality? 13, do you bless people when they persecute you? Bless and do not curse. 14, do you rejoice with those who rejoice? And 15, do you have compassion and bandwidth, time in your schedule and room in your heart to weep with those who weep? 16, verse 16, do you live in harmony with one another? 17, are you haughty? 18, do you associate with the lowly? 19, put it like this, is there a true sense of humility in you? 20, this looks like it's 1. Or maybe it's like the other one that was both. Because it's a negative and then a positive. So 20. Do you strive to not repay evil for evil? In exchange for that, do you give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all? 21. If possible, I love this precursor. If possible, so far as it depends on you. Okay? So far as it depends on you, do you live peaceably with all? 22. Do you never avenge yourself, but do you leave it to God? 3. Are you not overcome by evil, but do you overcome evil with good? Yeah, small little passage, but lots of really practical things that we ought to ask ourselves, how does my life line up with this? How does my heart line up with this? And then probably pray and ask the Holy Spirit to help us. All right, before I let you go, I just want to research one thing. I don't often do this because the primary purpose of Bible time is not study. But I do want to look at one thing. All right, thanks for sticking with me. I just wanted to highlight this one little passage here. Because it's so like weird and interesting. So there's this little breakdown here. We're talking about don't repay people evil for evil. And then he says, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. So by doing so, you will heap burning coals on his head.
On his head, yeah.
So this term right here, will heap burning coals on his head. I always grew up thinking that was a negative thing. Like you're really gonna show them, they're gonna be like, ouch, or something. And it's like, it is debated what this means. There's a few options. Some people say, hey, it's a good thing. Hey, thanks for the coals to help keep my fire going.
That's what I've heard.
It's a mean thing. Like, hey, you're a bad person. You're being burned by this. 3, it's a clever means of protecting yourself. Somebody carrying burning coals can't haul off and punch you or something like that. Number 4, it represents a cleansing fire, kind of the way that God's fire burns wickedness. And number 5, that it represents the fire of love. That, your enemy will say, wow, I didn't deserve this. So, but I do think that biblically it seems that based on the context of this passage, talking about love being sincere, not repaying people evil for evil, but like the whole tone of this passage is that we would love people no matter who they are on this. So I think that I've come around on this and I believe now that it's actually more of like a term. So it's like here's one commentary. It says, sometimes a person's fire went out and they needed to borrow some live coals to restart their fire. Giving a person a coal in a pan to carry on his head was a neighborly, kind act. It made friends, not enemies. Proverbs 25:22 instructs us to give our enemy many burning coals that they may carry them the way burdens are carried in the Middle East, in a container on their head, that they might go back and be able to do their cooking. And so I think that translation makes sense in light of this passage, that this is not like do all this so you can really get them, but it's like you're going above.
Both of these two have like OCD. Look at them.
And beyond, you're giving them a blessing, giving them a blessing, giving them a blessing, giving them something that they need. You're serving them in order that you would, by that service and love that represents Jesus, you would overcome evil with good. So, anyway, thanks for joining me today. Pick up in Romans 13 tomorrow. A very relevant and applicable passage to this day and age. Submission to authorities. So, I'll join you. I'll see you then. Hope you join me. God bless.
All right. I almost want to try to take fucking South America, but I don't think I should. I want to watch this. What the fuck is this person? Look at them.
こんにちは、司令官先
They're
輩。
disgusting
一人ぼっちで
looking.
寂しいの？なら、アニメファンや最強軍用機での激カワバトルを愛する。
Ew.
Howdy, y'all.
Oh, that's a dude? Or is that a
I've been
chick?
making videos on
It
conservative
looks like it has tits. What the
politics
fuck?
for years now. And in the process,
What is
I've
that?
noticed a lot of arguments and talking points that seem worth covering, but aren't something worth devoting a whole video to. And since I really don't want to make TikToks, I've decided to cover some of my favorites here. To start, I'd like to look at some of the arguments about trans people that
Is
I
this a
wound up covering
tranny?
for my trans panic
Is this a tranny?
video. In the past year or so, it's become a popular argument among the right that trans people are becoming radicalized into committing mass shootings. This claim is based on 4 shootings since 2018.
What is that supposed to say? To dad? Is that what that's supposed to say?
Committed by supposedly trans or non-binary people. I say supposedly because it's highly disputed whether the Colorado Springs shooter actually identified as non-binary. Several witnesses said they never claimed to be until after committing the shooting, leading many to suspect this may have been a move to avoid hate crime charges, which may have increased the odds of receiving the federal death penalty. It also seems possible that this may have been a sick joke. Trans and non-binary people are no strangers to having their identities mocked by cis bigots. The "I identify
Shut the
as
fuck
an
up.
attack helicopter" joke is almost a decade old at this point. But even taking the initial claim at face value,
Yeah, that joke is pretty
4
cringe.
trans mass
I will
shootings
admit
over the
that.
course of several years is not significant. There were 3,350 mass shootings from 2018 to 2023. That would put trans mass shooters at about 0.1% of the whole. This is far lower than the percentage of trans people in the US, with estimates ranging from 0.6 to 2%. The threat of trans shooters has been artificially amplified, as the identity of the shooter causes
Why are
these
they
attacks
sitting
to
there
receive
on the...
outsized
What the
attention
fuck is this shot?
from conservative outlets. Additionally, false claims about mass shooters being trans are often spread in the wake of these tragedies. With the Uvalde shooting, for example, pictures of a young trans woman from Georgia were spread around on 4chan under the claim that she was the shooter. This lie was picked up by elected
Wait, so was it a she or a he then?
officials, conservative groups,
I'm
and
confused.
media talking heads like Alex Jones and Candace Owens. And following a shooting in Louisville, people reported on the fact that the shooter had pronouns in his LinkedIn bio, with one idiot saying, "It's not the guns, it's the pronoun extremists." Of course, both the Uvalde and the Louisville shooter were cisgender men, as are the overwhelming majority of mass shooters. And while I was writing this script...
Well, yeah, that's because there's way more fucking normal people in the world, you dumb
This
fuck.
transgender woman committed a mass shooting at a church, and was also labeled as trans by right-wing media. Fear has also been stoked over the
I'm trying to
disproportionate
figure out
number
if
of
this is a
autistic
tranny.
people within the trans community. Unlike with mass shootings, there is actual data to back this up, with trans people being about 3 to 6 times as likely to be autistic compared to the general
So maybe they're just fucking autistic and they're not a different gender.
population. Of course, the argument isn't just, a lot of trans people are also autistic. That's cool. Rather, they frame it as innocent autistic youth being brainwashed by the vicious trans ideology.
I think that that's more
Because
what it
their
is.
weak little autism brains are uniquely vulnerable to being duped into transness. This is wrong, and really demeaning to autistic and trans people. There's nothing to suggest that autistic people are more likely to be dissatisfied with their transition or detransition, so it's not like they're not really trans. And even if some did detransition, that's still not adequate justification to put up additional roadblocks to prevent autistic...
No one should, even if you are happy with it, don't fucking do it. You're destroying your fucking genitals, bro. You're not the other sex. Just because you're fucking crazy doesn't mean that you're a different sex.
Rather than them being uniquely susceptible to trans indoctrination, a view that infantilizes
What is
autistic
this
teens
shot?
and adults while playing into the predatory transgender narrative.
What the
Many
fuck is it?
suggest that
Bro, I'd
autistic
be pissed if this was mine. I'd be pissed, bro. What the
people
fuck?
are less likely to concern themselves with
I'm like, get the
societal
fuck off of there, you
norms,
fucking creepy
and
looking
thus
tranny.
less likely to repress their trans identity. One of my friends is autistic and a furry. Another group
Oh
which
my
is often
goodness.
looked down upon by society. She says
As
that
they
because
should
people
be.
already viewed her as weird due to her autism. She wasn't concerned about being perceived as part of the furry community, instead prioritizing what makes her happy. She's also a demigirl, which would probably have been more relevant.
What
to
the fuck
actual
is a
discussion.
demigirl? I don't even want to know. What is a demigirl? So it's a fucking trans. What? It's a person who was born as a girl who doesn't think that they're a girl?
But I'm not going to pass up an
Or a woman who doesn't think that they're... It's a girl who doesn't think that they're a girl.
opportunity to discuss furries. Rather than being confused and easily
Are
manipulated,
they getting bought out here?
autistic people have just as strong of a perception of their own identity as the rest of society.
Do they?
Next up, we have the
Wow.
dumbest anti-trans argument. That being the idea that
The
cis
fuck is this
or
person
cisgender
doing?
is a slur.
Why are they
This
putting
one's so
rocks?
dumb,
What
you
are
only
they?
really see it trotted out by insignificant losers, such as the richest man on
Get off of it!
who claims it's a disparaging term for heterosexuals. This is wrong on multiple levels.
The fuck's the
First
matter
off,
with this
the term
person?
cisgender isn't about sexuality. If cis were a slur, which it isn't, would it not be one for cis people? And then there's the issue of cisgender.
I wanna
literally
read
just
and
being
see
a
if anyone
term
else is
used to
pissed off
distinguish
about
people
this.
Whose gender identity lines up with their assigned gender at birth. It's not used as a disparaging term in any instance beyond poking fun at people who call it a slur. One last trans argument. A common response to those advocating for trans rights is, well, what rights don't trans people have? Which is a very strange argument to make about a notoriously marginalized group. Across the world, trans people face various struggles, such as lack of legal gender recognition, lack of protection against discrimination.
We do recognize your gender. It's the one that you are. You dumb
Hurdles
fuck.
to accessing care.
Just like everyone else.
In her manga, The Bride Was a Boy, the artist Chi details how in Japan, trans people are required to get bottom surgery in order to get legal gender recognition. She also points out how, because gay
That is pretty weird. I mean, if we're gonna... Just don't legally identify them at all. Just say, no, this is what you are. You are what you... You are what you are.
gay marriage is not yet legal in Japan, any people who are already married and wish to change their legal gender marker are required to divorce their partner. If you want a full breakdown on the rights trans people lack across the globe, I'd recommend taking a look at this piece by Katie Montgomery. It's a bit outdated, but it's the most complete list that I could find, and it makes for a really depressing scroll. There's
I like how he was like, what rights don't trans people have? Well, in Japan.
also the fact
It's like, okay.
that
Do you live in
countries
Japan,
with
bro?
Some LGBTQ protections. Trans rights advocates aren't only fighting for
And it wasn't even that big of a fucking deal. It's like, who gives a shit about this dumb thing that you care about?
the rights trans people don't have,
Not me.
but also trying to prevent them from losing the rights that they do have. In the US, for example, we've seen plenty of states backsliding on trans rights in recent years, with hundreds of transphobic bills being brought to state legislatures.
They aren't fucking transphobic bills.
I saw
As much as I would like to make this video all just stupid anti-trans arguments, I do need to save something for this year's Pride Month video. So let's kick it back to the start of the 2020s. COVID is ravishing the nation. The presidential race is heating up. A younger Alex is working on their tennis serve. All equally important events. And civil unrest follows
Is that this person?
the unjust murders of
Oh my
countless
goodness,
black people by
what the
police
fuck?
is
They
leading to
suck at
calls
this.
across the nation to
They
defund
suck
the
at
police.
basketball. What the
Alec
fuck are
Baldwin
these
has
shots,
funded
bro?
instead to programs
Why?
that aim to actually reduce crime, rather than just show up to shoot at it in a discriminate manner. A short
Aren't
time
you
later,
embarrassed?
conservative pundits were running with the narrative that Democrat cities defunded the police, and without any big strong badge boys to protect us, the murder rate skyrocketed. This is dumb, primarily because defunding the police was not really a thing that happened. An ABC analysis of police budgets found
I mean, it is what happened.
only 8 out of 109 which cut the budget by more than 2% between 2019 and
Yeah, but they made the
2022.
budget go to different
The
things.
overwhelming majority of police budgets increased in this time period, as they have been for decades. This did not prevent
It's more of a spending problem. What are you spending the money on? Maybe not the budget exactly. It's what they were spending the money on
the murder
that
rate from
changed,
increasing
which is what made it increase.
slightly nationwide, likely due in part to a combination of factors, such as an increase
So yeah,
in
they didn't really
firearms sales and
defund,
the ongoing pandemic.
Like, as
It's
in, get rid of all the
doubtful
money
police played
of the
that
money
much of a
that's
role,
spent for
because
it.
we
No,
have
they still
decades of
spent a
data to
shitload of
show
money.
us
They
that
just didn't do
police
their
funding
fucking job.
doesn't really affect crime rates, because police don't actually prevent crime. They just react to it. Even the few cities that did
Okay, you don't think police don't prevent crime? What the fuck do you mean? Obviously, there's going to be more crime committed when there is... I don't like this.
temporarily reduced police funding, quickly increased it following public pressure. Austin, Texas committed the most severe budget cut of 30%, reallocating the funds to a bevy of other public services. Then, a year later, Texas made it illegal for cities to cut police budgets, so Austin increased theirs 50%. If you want a more in-depth look at this massive defund the police lie, Some More News has a great video on it. Another concept that the right just uses as a general scapegoat for their racial anxieties is DEI, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This is basically just corporate lingo for, hey, maybe let's be less discriminatory, which is why it's fallen under the ire of the right, being viewed as a tool to artificially elevate minorities to unearned positions of power. This reasoning has been used to cast doubt on the qualifications of any minority in a job of high esteem. As Charlie Kirk puts it,
I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the
you
game
wouldn't have
theory
done
I was
that.
talking
You
about.
wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't
that's
have done
not
that
who I
before.
am. That's
No.
not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has
But
created.
I'm not racist. I just don't like it when black people have jobs. Being
Do you not get what he was saying? I'm not really big on that argument, but like, how do you not understand what he's saying there? Is that if they're making it so that black people get hired at a lower standard than white people, then when you see a black person flying a plane or something, you might think, uh-oh, what if that person isn't as qualified as if they were to hire a white person? Not saying that black people can't be qualified to fucking fly a plane, you dumb fuck.
The hiring pool is open to all sorts of people is not lowering the standards.
It doesn't make it so it's opening it to all other people. It made it so it's easier for black people to become a pilot or any minority to become a pilot than white people. Like, they can have a look. What the fuck?
Anyone who gets a job as a pilot, doctor, whatever else, is still meeting the qualifications to do that job. It actually seems fairly intuitive that opening the hiring pool up to a wider variety of people would increase the number of qualified applicants, as opposed to artificially restricting most.
They they never artificially restricted it down to just white people. I mean, yeah, they did back way in the day, but they aren't doing that now.
High esteem jobs to white men only.
That's not what the fuck was going on, you dumb shit.
For decades, without the concern that they might not be qualified ever being floated. I wonder why. Going with the theme of things I saw people say on Twitter, presidential candidate Nikki Haley, who, as of this writing,
Things I
is
saw on
still
Twitter.
technically in the race. Back in January, her campaign put out
Bro,
a
what
statement,
is this? What are these shots, though?
racism. But America has never been a racist country. The liberal media always fails to get that distinction. As someone who could dubiously be considered the liberal media, I'd really love to hear an explanation on this distinction. Like, what would make America a racist country by this standard, if we're solely defining racism as an individual action? Does segregation count? Housing discrimination? What do we make of the Civil War? The Confederacy had white supremacy enshrined in their
Yeah, but people fought against slavery.
founding documents. And sure, you could say...
I mean,
they
I
were
would say that it
technically
was
part of the US
racist,
at the
but...
time, but they were before seceding, and I don't think they were any less racist then. What do we make of the series of compromises leading up to the Civil War that expanded the reach of slavery? Hell, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution protected the importation of enslaved people for the first 30 years of the Union. Does that not count, just because they didn't specifically say slaves? The Haley campaign says that America is special
Also, Haley's stupid. I don't like Haley, so...
because its people are always striving to do better and live up to our founding ideals of freedom and equality. But in my last video, we covered how the US has
I don't know why-
given up on achieving racial equality in its education system. Are we just giving the
Green
country
hasn't moved
partial credit
into
because
South
Jefferson wrote,
America.
all men are created equal? And we've kinda, sorta stood by that some of the time when it's convenient. I mean, I'm starting to think that this whole
What the
argument
fuck is
just
this
an
person?
attempt by the right to pretend the US is a post-racial society in order to ignore ongoing issues of racial discrimination and inequality. But that couldn't possibly be true.
Ugh.
Then there's the matter of climate change, the biggest crisis of our era that's also seemingly impossible to get the median voter to give a shit about. we're often told how the climate isn't actually changing, despite mountains of evidence going back decades demonstrating exactly that. We're told how there isn't true consensus
Climate change has always happened.
on the matter, despite 97% of climate scientists agreeing.
Yeah, and when they have, they've always gotten it wrong. And also, like, we don't know what would happen if the temperature got raised a few Celsius. I don't even think it would be that bad. But, you know what would be bad? Is if we just got rid of fossil fuels.
And many of
That
the
would kill a
climate
fuckload of people.
experts trotted out by the right, not actually being climate scientists, such as Alex Epstein, an author who's testified before Congress, been in several PragerU videos, has a very unfortunate name, and whose climate expertise consists primarily of fossil fuel companies handing him money. Another common retort is that the climate changing is just part of the natural warming and cooling cycles of the Earth, not influenced by human activity. And yeah, the Earth does cycle over long periods of time, but the recent warming is very rapid, correlating with a massive increase in atmospheric CO2 and other greenhouse gases as a result of human activity. There's no indication of any natural processes, such as increased solar activity, which would have created such a drastic warming effect. And it really feels like we're just scraping for reasons not to care. Speaking of reasons not to care, another tactic is to discredit the validity of a scientific consensus on climate change by saying stuff like, well, in the 70s, they all thought the Earth was going to get colder. You really can't trust these eggheads, you know? But this is also inaccurate. A 2008 review of the literature found that while there were some papers published in the late 60s and early 70s predicting a global cooling, these were never a majority of the articles on the matter. And researchers soon arrived at a consensus as more papers were published. There being some initial disagreement on the matter doesn't erase the validity of the modern consensus. It just demonstrates how the study evolved over the course of time as more information was learned. You know, how science works. Not gonna lie, I feel like I'm on a roll debunking these. I could probably do this for hours. It's just...
What the fuck is this?
Does it feel like it might be too easy? Like, none
No, it's because you're strawmanning the arguments.
of these talking points really have that much substance. Is there a reason for that? Oh shit. Does this video have an actual point? Part 2. Why conservative arguments are so bad. I think I've made it clear in this video, and previous ones, that many right-wing arguments don't stand up to any degree of scrutiny. Which begs the question, why is it that these arguments persist? And what is it they're trying to accomplish? In the 1950s, tobacco companies began to recognize the harmful effects of smoking, learning that it was addictive and linked to increased risk of cancer. Several independent researchers had begun to look into the negative effects as well, with these dangers being brought to public attention as early as 1952. In an ideal world, we would have seen the implementation of public safety measures soon after, but that isn't what happened, because the tobacco industry...
No,
still
smoking's
wanted to make
good
money.
for you.
So they set out to prevent any degree of regulation on their industry. In their book, The Misinformation Age, Kaylin O'Connor and James Owen Weatherall discuss how the industry was able to fund many new studies on the effects of smoking, doing things like...
I actually think that Red is kind of good, because if they weren't good, they would have taken South America and then put a giant target on their own back.
restricting the sample
But
size
they're
to
not.
make it more likely that they didn't turn up evidence linking smoking to cancer, and then publishing only the studies that turned up good results for them. Additionally, the industry began spreading any independent studies that failed to conclude a link. The result of all of this was that, despite there being strong evidence linking smoking to cancer, a fact that's more widely accepted now, the industry was able to make it seem like there was a lack of true scientific consensus. The goal was not to be correct, but to successfully stall any action against the tobacco companies. We see this repeated today, most often with the climate crisis. In The Misinformation Age, they cover how when evidence began mounting of the danger posed by acid rain, the job of developing a framework to combat air pollution fell to the Reagan administration. In order
The Misinformation Age. One sec, I'm gonna go see if my phone has started yet, because I left it charging after this, actually.
to assess the danger of acid rain, a panel was created to review the relevant literature. The panel consisted of several climate scientists whose research was in the relevant areas, and one physicist, Fred Singer, who had been personally added to the list of panelists by the White House, and had a clear partisan agenda, being a member of the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. The panel at large created a report concluding that acid rain was a problem that needed to be addressed immediately. Singer, on the other hand, concluded that the only acceptable response was doing nothing, and that there wasn't sufficient evidence of any danger yet. This disagreement would cause the panel to stall, until eventually a watered-down version of the report was released, and it took years after the report's release for any action on acid rain to get passed. We continue to see this today, where despite overwhelming evidence of the dangers posed by climate change, the right still champions the opinions of the couple people who may not even be climate scientists that say it's not a big deal. They pretend we don't yet know enough to act because their fossil fuel donors and seeming allergy to spending money on anything but the war machine decrees that nothing is to be done.
No, I don't want to spend money on the war machine.
Done about climate change.
What the fuck are these shots, bro?
I need to find the best
Stop
way to
it.
learn math and science.
It's Brilliant.org. Whoa. Brilliant has thousands of interactive lessons in math, science, and computer science. You'll solve fun problems and learn from clear and intuitive explanations. Brilliant gets you hands-on to help you learn by doing, because studies show that interactive learning is 6 times more effective than watching lecture videos.
This tactic preys on a tendency that many of us have. I'm sure everyone's seen one of those ads that are like, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Bluey brand toothpaste. What's the first thing everyone thinks after hearing that? I wonder what the 5th dentist says. We're drawn to the allure of those who differ from the consensus. Sure, 97% of scientists agree on climate change. But what do those other 3% know that the rest don't? Sure, the overwhelming medical consensus finds that trans people have better mental health outcomes after receiving gender-affirming care. But what about this one study from Sweden that found the opposite result? Sure, there's no actual evidence.
You want me to say my own opinion? I don't care if they have better mental health after they cut off their dick. I don't think they should do it.
Linking vaccines to autism.
I don't give a shit if there's a study that fucking says that. I can really give a shit. It's degenerate.
Why'd they take his license away?
I don't care if you think that you feel better. You don't. You're just fucking crazy.
This instinct isn't inherently bad. Many proponents of this skepticism will point to Galileo, who was prosecuted for espousing ideas that most of us now hold to be unobjectionably true, but which contradicted the scientific consensus of the time. The problem comes when you're latching onto these consensus-breaking ideas, not because they have any particular merit or evidence, but rather
Yes!
because they conform to
He's
It's
going
not
for
an
red.
exercise
Fuck
of
yes.
genuinely challenging the scientific evidence, but rather just latching on to whatever allows you to not have your own beliefs challenged. Not skepticism, but willful ignorance. Going beyond just sowing doubt among the scientific consensus, another reason so many conservative arguments are just surface level talking points that are fairly easy to debunk is because it doesn't really matter how strong an individual argument is when they can be pumped out at such a high volume. This is what I call the PragerU paradox. Many have noted how PragerU videos, which are 5 minutes long, will typically see videos debunking them that are 20, 30 minutes long. Hell, an hour if you're a real freak. Even if no individual...
Okay, PragerU sucks, though. So, there's that.
claim is particularly difficult to refute. The sheer volume of them ensures that refuting the whole argument is difficult. And even if one were to accomplish that, there's always another argument ready afterwards. And falsehoods spread faster than fact checks. Claims often spread to millions before anyone reports on their inaccuracy, and oftentimes continue to spread afterwards. Another idea is one I've stolen from Ian Danskin, that oftentimes these arguments are not meant to be convincing in and of themselves. Rather, they're mantric, something believers repeat ad nauseum to assure themselves of their correctness. Think of the transphobe's favorite line: "What is a woman? An adult human female." This isn't an argument, it's a slogan. One meant to ignore the complexities of gender identity, roles and expression, intersexuality, and various other concepts, in favor of having something snappy to put on a t-shirt. Not the start of a debate, but a request that one not be had. Not a statement of fact, but rather a statement of the values of the speaker. In a similar vein, most who proclaim America has never been a racist country aren't of the opinion that there hasn't been racism in the past, or even that there isn't racism today. Rather, just that the government shouldn't do anything about it. This seems like it should matter more.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't
right?
do anything about it.
Like, aren't people supposed to adjust their beliefs with the evidence? Why do these easily disproven arguments continue to persist?
Don't fucking hit me.
Well, people don't really tend to live up to our idealized forms. Studies have found that most people tend to ignore evidence which contradicts their pre-existing beliefs. And being presented with conflicting evidence can even serve to drive people further into their incorrect beliefs. Take a look at how every prominent transphobe seems to be on an eternal march towards further extremism. If we are to accept the premise that at one point J.K. Rowling was truly just asserting that sex is real, that's certainly not what she's doing nowadays. Do you think she hasn't been presented with evidence contradicting her beliefs? This is why it doesn't matter if conservative arguments are
I like how they
or accurate. They don't need to be.
are calling fucking J.K. Rowling a conservative.
It's the realm of alternative facts, where it doesn't matter what is true, as long as you can get enough people to believe it. So, is there anything that can be done about this? I usually like to end these videos on an optimistic note, but not gonna lie, this whole situation just seems kinda depressing. Well, I feel like this is a good time to stress the importance of the education system. People's ideologies are most malleable while they're young, and the right knows this. That's why we've seen countless attacks on public education. That's why PragerU is putting their shit-ass propaganda into actual classrooms. There's untold value in kids being educated with the critical thinking skills to not just accept whatever bullshit they're fed. I'd also suggest that there's a limit on the value of endlessly debating with the right. Like, don't get me wrong, I was on that grind set too a while back. It can be addicting
Bro, what
to
is
win
it?
Twitter
What? This is so cringe.
but it's not really changing minds. Now, if a person seems open to a genuine discussion, far be it from me to discourage you. Hell, I would even suggest that these shitty arguments can function as bait to divert the discussion towards a pissing match instead of anything actually productive. There's value in debunking these false claims and shitty arguments, but we can't lose sight of the real issues they're obfuscating. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to give me money, you can donate to my Patreon.
No,
like the
no one
lovely
wants to
people
give
you
you
see
faggot
scrolling
ass
by right
money.
now, including my $10 and up patrons, Amy Gleitzer,
You're disgusting.
Mona Abdel Karim, and Adam Brink.
Howdy, y'all. One of the most common practices in film is taking pre-existing novels and adapting them into movies. This has created some of the greatest movies of all time, but often, in the process of adapting a film, the meaning of the source material can be lost. And even if the movie is largely faithful to the book, the movie can still wind up not translating well. I believe there's no better example of this than the two film adaptations of Vladimir Nabokov's 1955 novel, Lolita. The infamous story has a unique position in the world of adaptations, having received a not particularly faithful adaptation, as well as a...
Howdy, y'all. I've been making videos on conservative...
You feel tough?
I am tough.
Are you an emotional person?
Yeah, I guess you'd say that. Yeah, I
And
cry.
You cry? What do you cry about?
I cry John Wayne movies. You know?
Do you?
I do.
And do you cry about if you broke up with a girlfriend? Not
No.
that you would you cry over that?
No.
Why not?
Not even close.
Really? Have you ever had a heartache?
Oh yeah, where my heart's broken?
Yeah, because you were broken up.
Oh yeah.
But you wanted
My
to cry.
first wife broke my heart.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
What did that feel like?
I felt shitty.
Bro, Jesse Lee Peterson is so fucking funny. Oh, actually, I think the Jesse Lee Peterson was on H3H3. Let's watch that. Yeah, it's H3H3, Jesse Lee Peterson.
Try Old Spice Total Body with 24/7 freshness from pits to toes.
Downy makes clothes softer, fresher, and better. We breathe life into your laundry.
Not working at all. It is causing nothing but confusion.
And so, what crucial occupations do you think is being overrun with affirmative action types of people that's harming the industry?
Well, nowadays it's everything really.
Yeah, let's get to where Jesse Lee Peterson starts.
Yeah.
Turn up a little bit more.
Okay, that should do it better.
That's amazing.
Hello, Jesse. How do we?
Yes, sir.
There we go. That's much better.
Oh,
we can hear you now.
Good. So how we doing? Are you live? Are you doing your show right now? Or are you just calling into ours?
No, I'm just on yours.
Yeah.
My show is in the mornings.
Okay. We're live, so
Okay.
It's what it is. But you're a radio man. You know about live broadcasts.
Are we on right now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So thanks for calling. I've been a somewhat, you might say, a fan. I love the way you interview people, although I'll be upfront with you. I'm a lib. You might call me a beta male.
Oh, beta.
Yeah.
Beta.
Right. So
How is Moses doing?
are you? That's like, I don't know which way to take that.
Wow.
You mean like Moses the prophet or like Moses my brother-in-law?
Moses, your brother-in-law.
How do you know Moses? Why would you even ask that?
Everybody.
Bro, I thought that he was asking that because Ethan is Jewish. Okay.
No Moses.
What?
Even God knows Moses.
Wait, why did you ask me that?
Because I just wonder how you're doing. I haven't seen him in a minute.
Wait, stop. Why did you ask me how's Moses?
Because I haven't seen him in a minute, so I just wonder how he was
You
doing.
know, so you've seen Moses.
Oh yeah.
What do you-
Everybody
how-
know Moses.
So you're talking about the prophet.
No, I'm talking about your brother-in-law.
Okay. You've already got me all twisted up. This is what I'm saying. You've got this interview skills that just, you've already got me discarded.
And
All right,
why
Jesse.
is that?
What?
Why you just got about asking how he was doing?
You don't know my brother-in-law.
Well, how would I know to ask about him then?
But then how do you know him?
He got married, right?
Oh, stop it.
I know what's going on.
Who did he get married to?
Some crazy woman.
Some crazy woman.
I was surprised that Moses married a crazy woman because he seemed to have more common sense than that.
So I don't know what's happening. I don't know if there's a producer that knows all this stuff that's feeding you lines. How did you meet Moses?
He came to my office.
What?
To do what?
I can't tell you all that.
Oh my God. Okay.
He was here for a meeting.
Okay, all right.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing?
So Jesse, let's just get into it because I understand you only have an hour. You have a show called The Fallen State, correct?
Right.
So what is the fallen state? What does that mean?
The Fallen State is really a show of different conversations. And what I realized is that human beings are in a fallen state, and they live in their imagination, which is hell, and that their nature is evil. And that's why they treat each other, though we're all created in God's image, they treat each other, I don't anymore, but
if
they
we're
treat
created-
each other like hell, like the lack of love, because they're living in the darkness of their imagination. They're
But if
in a
you said-
fallen state and don't know it.
If you says that we're created in God's image,
right?
It seems that you're maybe a little insulting to God because you just said that his image is his imagination is hell.
But no, they're not living. They have been turned away from the Father, so they're not living from His image.
Oh.
That's why we must be born again. We must return to the Father.
But do they
all
have a?
who, all who are born of the woman is living in hell because they have anger. They have their mother's nature, and so their nature is evil. But when they return to the Father, then their nature return to good.
I see. So women's nature is evil.
Yes, because Satan is the woman's god. The
Satan is
above-
woman's God. Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
the God above is the man's God.
Yeah.
And the God below is the woman's God. That's
So-
why all who are born through the woman born into hell.
Are you for real?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe that for real?
Without a doubt, how do you think you became angry?
I'm not angry.
You don't have anger?
I'm an alpha male.
You don't have anger?
I get angry sometimes. Does that mean that
How
my
did-
mom is the devil?
I'm sorry?
It seems kind of reductive to say, "Oh, you've been angry," which is a common human emotion. Everybody's felt it at one time or another. Anyone who's lived, and to say that it's because your mother is a Satanist or something like that.
And you're right. Every human being are born into hell, and that's why we must be born again of the Father.
I see.
You know, God said there will come a day when I return the children to the fathers and the fathers to the children. Every human being must be born of the Father in order to have perfect peace, in order to live on this earth in perfect peace.
Can a
But you
woman
gotta-
can a woman live a righteous life if their God is the devil? Do they have a shot?
Absolutely.
They can. So what do they need to do to live a righteous life?
They too have to do as the man have to do. They have to forgive their mothers for imposing her will on them and turning them away from their fathers and recreating them in her image. And once they forgive their mother, don't ask for forgiveness, but forgive her for what she's done. She could not help it.
What if
And
your mom
once they
didn't do
forgive
anything
their
wrong?
Once they forgive their mothers, then they forgive their fathers for not protecting them from the mother. He couldn't handle her because he married to his mama. You become
Wait, what
attracted
if,
to
if your
you hate.
mom didn't do anything wrong? What if you have a nice mom who's great and she didn't do anything?
That
Great.
doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
No.
There's okay, okay, good. So what are the sins of the mother? What are they?
Is anger, jealousy, envy, strife.
But you feel all
revenge.
that.
I'm sorry?
But you feel all those emotions. That's not a feminine emotion.
No, it's a mother's emotion. It is a feminine emotion because Satan is a feminine spirit.
But you feel anger, right?
No, I never feel anger.
You have never felt anger.
No, I just said I never have felt it. I did 30-something years ago. But when I forgave my mother who resented my father and tried to turn me away from him, God forgave me, and he took that spirit away. So I don't feel anger anymore.
Well, I'm very happy for you. But my mom, and how
happy?
dare you speak about my mother like that, Jesse? I'll have you know she's a great lady.
No such thing.
Man, you really hate your mom, don't you?
No, I love my mother now, but all children hate their mothers. And that's
crazy, because you know the famous psychological analysis by the great Sigmund Freud says the opposite. Kids
Sigmund Freud is fucking crazy.
want to fuck their mother.
He sucks.
What are your thoughts on that?
They do, because you do want to F the person you hate.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Oh. You become attracted to the person that you hate.
Are you attracted to your mother? Were you
No,
attracted?
I don't hate my mother anymore.
Oh, okay. When you hated her, were you attracted to her?
If you notice in your life, every woman you get involved with, just like your mother, you couldn't handle her because you never overcame your mother.
When you
And
were
so
an-
you're still attracted to that same spirit.
When you were angry at your mom, were you sexually attracted to her?
Not her, but women like her. It was
Oh,
the same
okay.
spirit.
Okay. Let's go back to the top here, because we could go down this rabbit hole forever. So let me ask you about, are you married?
No,
Do you have children?
I do. I have a son.
Beta! Only one son?
I made a son first.
You only have
Beta
one
males
son?
Make,
But
beta
you're-
males make girls first. Alpha males make boys first.
Hold on, Jesse. You're telling me you had a child out of wedlock? Beta!
That's true. Then I was in a fallen state. You're
Oh,
absolutely
okay.
right. But then I have 2 grandkids, adult grandkids now, and then 2 great grandkids and 1 on the way.
Why were you never married, Jesse? That seems like a great, frankly, in your line of work and with your values, it seems like that would be a real shortcoming of yours, that you're single still.
And why is that?
Well, don't you live for family values, good Christian family values?
You can live for them without having to be married. Jesus never married. God wasn't married. Paul wasn't married, but yet they stood for those values.
Okay. So then, well, let me put it this way. I have 3 boys. And I'm married.
Nice.
I'm alpha as fuck.
All the way.
Right. Okay, good. I wanted to get that out there.
He just barely fucks up a little bit, and then he... Okay, let's see what... Do I get broken by that 20? By that 23. Okay. See what green does here.
I couldn't.
Green is very
I could sit here with you
passive.
calling me beta. I would crumble. I couldn't deal with it. You've said, but I hope you're not offended when I do say you are kind of beta.
No, I'm not offended by that at all.
Okay, good, because you are.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have said previously that you are afraid of affirmative action policies. What do you mean by that?
Well, affirmative action is set up in order to keep the blacks weak and dependent on government and not ever growing and becoming their best in their talent and what they can do. And so what it does is discriminate against the ones who earn their way, and it gives it to those who do not earn their way. And it's just not right. It's evil. It's wrong for the person that they're giving it to who are not earning their way. And it's also wrong against the people who are earning their way. It's just not, it's an evil plan, and it's not working at all. It is causing nothing but confusion.
And so, what crucial occupations do you think is being overrun with affirmative action types of people that's harming the industry?
Well, nowadays it's everything really. We just heard a report that I talked about on my show. They're hiring air traffic controllers and pilots and things like that, and these people are not qualified, and they are getting rid of the white man, the white people who are qualified, and they're putting the unqualified people there. And you see it in the military. They're even talking now about doing it in the medical field. They are giving these people these positions without earning their way. Not only is it not good for the individuals themselves, but it's not good for the country.
How can I, as somebody who's trying to identify affirmative action where things are vulnerable, how do I identify an affirmative action person who's in a spot that they shouldn't be?
Well, you can see, you can question them about did they earn their way, but you can see in the way that they operate, they do not operate at their best.
Are you an affirmative action radio host?
I'm not.
How do I know?
That's the problem with it. And you're right about that. You make a good point, because now that the blacks are getting affirmative action and reparation and all that for so many years, you do have black men and women who are earning their way. But how would you know, since you know affirmative action is set up for the blacks?
It's just
it's like Justice Clarence Thomas, for example. He earned his way. He worked hard. He came from a tough background. But because he's black, it's hard for anyone to accept that he's earned his way because he's black. So everybody just assumed that that the blacks are not earning their way. They are part of the affirmative action program.
So that's possible.
So it really does a bad job for all the blacks, to be honest.
What about like white Nepo babies who are born into tremendous wealth and privilege, and they can pretty much skate into any field, any kind of job that they want because maybe their parents have
That's
leverage and they
amazing.
know people and all this. Isn't that, in a sense, as dangerous as affirmative action, or perhaps even more?
Did you say white? What kind of babies?
Nepotism babies.
What's that?
Oh, nepotism is when you get favored treatment because of a family member.
There's nothing wrong with that. That always happens in society.
But don't you think that putting
it even happens?
But if they're not qualified,
It even happens in the black society. You have family members who know someone that knows someone. It's common sense that they're going to refer you.
Right, but if you're if you're at like Harvard Law, you're going to get fast tracked into one of these big law firms, and maybe you're not good. Maybe you're not even good at school. Maybe your father just bought like a wing at the Harvard University and so I don't want that guy as my attorney. Do you?
I mean, I'm not against personal referrals.
Right.
I don't agree with affirmative action based on color.
So what about affirmative action for Native Americans?
No.
For the Indians?
Yeah.
The Indians?
Those are the ones.
Why so serious?
We create the world of the dream. It's called Inception.
Affirmative action shouldn't be for anyone. The Indians need to put down the pot. And they call it peyote or something, right?
Peyote.
They need to put down the peyote and get up and earn for themselves. The beauty about life, if you are an individual, you think and do for yourself, there's no one or nothing in life that can stop you. And America, when I was growing up, was that way. And now it has been, individuality has been deemed to be something bad. And there's this group thinking now. And so the group is always in a pitiful, I can't make it, needed mode. That's why I believe that we must return to being individuals, one nation under God.
But Jesse,
in order to make America
you
strong.
participate in groupthink.
What do you mean?
Well, you're part of a movement, the manosphere, right? This conservative online movement about teaching young men that everything is not their fault. It's the world's fault that they're, not successful, or that, they're gay because they hate their mom or whatever.
I'm not part of any movement.
Well, why do I hear so many people saying that kind of stuff?
I don't know. I started Bond 34 years ago, and I didn't know anyone at the time, but I started because I realized, and at that time I realized that the blacks were suffering because they had been turned away from their fathers, and the Democrats and others were telling it. Also, the so-called civil rights leaders were telling the blacks that they were suffering because of racism, and I knew that was a lie. So I started BARM, my nonprofit, Rebuilding the Man, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny.
Even during Jim Crow, that racism was a lie?
Let me just finish this.
Go ahead.
To encourage blacks to not fall for the lie that some white man can hold them back, right? And so I started BARM 35 years ago. And I wasn't, and still am not a part of any movement, but just to encourage the men and women to return back to the Father.
So,
what were you saying about Jim Crow?
You're saying even back then there was no such thing as racism?
Right. No
even
such
Jim Crow.
Right.
That's not racist to say that black people need to drink from a different fountain.
No.
No.
As a matter of fact, I grew up, as you know, under the Jim Crow laws, and blacks and whites got along better back then than they do today, because back then
wasn't the KKK like hanging? I mean, sorry to be uncouth, but I'm pretty sure the KKK was like killing black people, but then they were just like, right? Like, I mean, they were just doing that. I don't know.
No, that's not
lynchings.
true.
There was lynchings and stuff happening back then. You don't see those
That's not
today.
true. That's not true.
Oh, so what's the truth about the KKK?
Let me tell you about the Jim Crow.
Okay.
During those days, the blacks worked for themselves. They had family. They had fathers and mothers and grandparents, and they worked for themselves. And they taught their children to work, and they taught their children to treat people the way that they would like to be treated. And then the wife did the same thing. They too taught their children to work and be independent and to treat people the way they would like to be treated. And as a result, the blacks bought land, they had trades, they bought, if they wanted to go to a trade school or college, they went and did that, and they came back as professionals. And they were not, they didn't have false leaders, someone leaded them. God was the head of the family, and the father was the head of the wife and the children. And so it wasn't until the civil rights movement came along, no such thing as civil rights, by the way, but when the civil rights movement started, it started.
But Jesse, if Jim Crow happened, if that was still in place, you wouldn't be talking to me now.
You don't know that. Why would I?
Because everything was segregated. As a white man, probably, I'm not. You know what? I
You're
was one of the
Jewish.
good ones. I would have never gone there. But however, there'd be people
But
saying,
that's
"No,
not
don't talk to
true
a white man."
That's not true.
No?
Because even under the Jim Crow law, black and white people talk to one another. If they wanted to talk, they got along. Those who wanted to get along.
So
but you have to realize you have evil people, and there are some people who return to good.
Let me hit you with a stat. Between 1882 and 1986. Now you were born in 1949, so you were probably in your 20s, somewhere in this time frame at the end of it. There was 4,743 lynchings that occurred in the United States during that time period. Is that racist?
I don't even know if that number is true, because you have to have, you have to realize that the human heart is wicked, and that the people make up numbers in order to get what they want.
Why won't you
I
admit
don't
that
even know
hanging
though-
black people is racist?
I'm sorry?
Why won't you admit that hanging black people is racist?
Oh, because it's not. If that was happening, if that was happening, it was evil. Our battle is a battle
Well,
between.
no, they were like, well, the KKK is like, we hate black people, and so we're gonna hang them. They say that. They actually said that. They're like, this
Right.
is, and so that's not racist.
No, it's hatred. It's either good or evil.
Does
Our
racism
battle-
exist? Is racism real?
You're asking me a lot of questions. Calm down.
Whoa.
You're not letting
this
me
is
answer.
this. Hold on,
You're
Jesse.
not letting me answer the one you're asking.
This
You're
is how
like
you interview
asking,
people.
and before I can answer, you run to something else.
Go ahead.
And so
I'll
we're
give you
never,
space.
we're not finalizing any conversation. What the? What's wrong
What?
with you?
Amazing. Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm sorry,
Amazing.
Jesse, go ahead. I'm trying to interview like you interview people.
That's not how I interview.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I know how you interview.
No. According to Wikipedia, 1,000 plus white people were lynched. Was that racist?
It could have been, it depending on
Why?
the situation.
No. Racism is a made-up word. The word racist is a made-up word to cover up evil, and in order to divide and conquer. When I was growing up in Alabama, there was no such word as racism. It was either right. It was either right or wrong, good or evil. There's no such thing as racism.
So, okay, so racism, it just means evil. But that, again, that seems reductive. I mean, there's different
No,
types of evil.
racism doesn't mean evil. Racism is just a word. It has no meaning.
Do words have any meaning?
No.
No words.
No.
Words don't mean anything.
Not at all.
Oh, man. How are we going to pin you down on anything? What are you doing then? What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Well, your words don't have meaning.
Right.
Well, how can you say that?
Because it's true. I mean,
But you're
practical
talking to me.
Practical words have meaning. Practical words have meaning because, what you're going to have for dinner. Your wife might ask you, what do you want for dinner, or what type of house you want to buy. But those are practical words. We don't live by those words. And those other words are only used to keep people down in order to control them for personal gain.
But that doesn't mean they don't exist.
God's voice is a voiceless voice.
Okay.
And the voice of evil is a voice that you hear in your head that sound like you, and they always lies all the time. All thoughts are all, except for practical ones, all thoughts are all lies all the time.
All thoughts are all lies?
all the time.
Jeez, man, that sounds like you're in a
Except-
prison. You're in a hell of your own making, man.
Except for practical thought, and you're right. People who live in their who live in their thoughts.
But everybody thinks.
Those who believe thoughts are living in hell, in their own
Interesting,
hell
wow.
within themselves.
Very interesting.
Just think about a thought that there are people who will commit suicide because a thought told them to commit suicide. There are people who are depressed and have fear and lonely and all these things because they have believed thoughts. Not because it's real, but they have believed a lie. They believe thoughts.
Let's move on to another topic. Why do you call Trump the Great White Hope?
The Great White Hope. I'm glad you mentioned him.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what he has to say.
He's back.
He's back.
Basically, all I've done is keep my promise.
That's why I call him the Great White Hope.
Is there a whole bunch of sounds, or is that the only one?
There are a whole bunch of them.
Let me hear some more.
Friends of the Lord, they're very honorable people.
Wow.
From this day forward, it's going to be only
America first.
So
I rest my case.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you love white
This is
people
Trump.
more? Do you love white people?
This is Trump right here.
Yeah, we love Trump. He's the. But why point out his skin color?
What do you mean?
Well, you call him the Great White Hope. Why do you reference his skin color?
Is he white?
By the way, if you think you can out MAGA me, think again, buddy. All right. I got my own tools.
Amazing. I
true.
have one of those, by the way.
Oh, you do? Put it on.
I don't have it in the studio.
That's convenient, Jesse.
I didn't know you were gonna want me to put it on. But let me see what else I have. Hold on. Because a lot of people are giving me a lot of Trump stuff.
But Jesse, why do you refer to him
Look.
as? Wow.
The Great White Hope.
Is it, Jesse? Is it normal to be a? Jesse, let me ask you a question. You might ask one of your guests.
Look at this.
I have a pertinent question that you might ask one of your guests.
Did you see that?
I do. Do you think that it's normal to
Here's my
fetishize
hat.
another man that much? Oh my God, you do have it. All right, Jesse. Well, then let me do this. Do you have one of these, motherfucker? This one's even bigger. Oh, shit. You actually do.
I have a black Santa Claus that someone sent me.
Do you believe Santa Claus is black?
Do you find it amazing that they finally did a black Santa and they put him in a wheelchair?
It is amazing, actually. What's his story?
Is they knew that he wasn't going to do any work.
They just put him in the wheelchair?
Yeah, because they knew he wasn't going to do any work. It's affirmative action Santa.
Oh, Jesse. Jesse, why do you refer to Trump's skin color? Why does that matter?
Because he's a white man. He did when he was president an amazing job.
An amazing
on America.
job.
He gave a lot of people hope. And he's great at what he's done. He worked for the people and not against them.
You have one of these?
I don't have one of those.
He's hot. Looks good. Okay, but that doesn't
So
explain.
I'm glad to know that you support him, though.
Why? Well, personally, I think Obama was a great president. What do you think about that?
You're playing.
No, he did a lot of great things. And
Like
talk
what?
about hope. He gave people lots of hope.
What did he do that was great?
He bombed children.
He was chill.
He was chill.
You can say that again.
Yeah.
He had Big Mama. And so what did he do that was great?
What did Trump do that's great?
He did drilling, brought back jobs. He built a wall, almost completed a wall around.
There's no wall. Come on, Jesse. There's no wall.
He didn't complete the wall, and when Joe Biden became president,
he did like 1%.
Instead of completing the wall, he stopped the work.
Jesse, you're not being fair.
Even though it was paid for,
He was also blocked
he
from
brought back
doing it.
jobs. He drilled. He worked on the wall until they stopped him. He left. We had our enemies respected us around the world. and the people worked together. We had finally had some unity in the country.
But he didn't build the wall, right? That's
He
just a
didn't
that's just a
complete-
matter of fact.
He didn't complete the wall.
No, but he didn't even come close. He built like 1% of it.
He didn't complete the
But
wall.
you said that was
he-
something good he did. He made one.
That was.
Since when does 1% of something you promised a good job?
I'm sorry, he didn't complete the job because his time ran out.
But the amount
And
of
as a
completion
result-
matters, right? The amount of completion matters.
I'm sorry?
The amount of completion matters. You say he didn't complete it. He didn't do 100%. But if he
Right.
did 1%, surely that's not as good as 50%. I wouldn't call that a good job. 1%?
Well, he
He
was
did not
getting
make the
blocked
census. His
all
time ran
over.
out, and he wasn't.
You said he built the wall, Jesse. Come on. There's no wall.
Well, let's put it this way, if this makes you feel better. He started building a wall, putting up a wall. Time ran out.
Okay.
And he did not finish. And according to BBC, he did 654 miles. That's
Out of how many?
that's more than 1%.
Let's see. What percent of the wall was completed? I don't know.
Yeah, that's more than 1%. That's like 10%. Because what, it's 5,000 miles? How long is the U.S.-Mexican border? Oh, what the fuck? It's 2,000 miles? So he did way more than... He almost got to... I thought it was 5... Where the fuck am I getting the 5,000 from? Am I tripping? What the fuck? I'm so confused on why I got that so wrong. What am I confusing?
Well,
458
650
miles. What are you typing, dude?
But why did you say 1% and you really don't know?
Oh, sorry. You know what? It's like 25%.
But you really don't know.
Well, now I do. It's 25%.
Someone just told you?
Yes. Somebody who
So
fact checks.
why did you say 1%?
Well, I was wrong, clearly, but it was 25%.
Oh man, there's 2 bots in this game? That sucks.
What'd you find?
All of these books are under $5 at
I'm gonna get that
bookbooks.com.
3 smoked. No.
They do have a suspiciously large selection of murder mystery.
Better look into it.
What is my move here? Let's make some alliances. First off.
When you shop on Amazon.com, there's a good chance you're buying from an independent seller like Adrian. When Adrian launched Blue Henry cocktail garnishes, she was up to her neck in orders. She needed to expand.
There's nowhere else, Adrian.
She got a loan from Amazon to move into a bigger space.
It's fabulous. It's everything we need.
So no cocktail goes ungarnished.
I think we move
Why
into...
did you say 1%?
It's 25%.
No, why did you say
It's
1%?
25%.
You're not answering the question.
Well, it's a rhetorical question, is it not?
No, why did you just throw out 1% when it wasn't true?
Why did you say Trump completed the wall when he had only completed 25%?
He didn't say he
of it?
completed the
I
wall.
didn't say he completed the wall. I
You
said
said
he
he
built
built-
the wall.
okay.
And I said he did not get a chance to complete it because I ran out of time.
Well, how are you going to... If percent is a word and words are made up, then what are we even doing here?
We're communicating.
But words
Somewhat.
don't mean anything.
He was
We're
joking.
I
when he
got
said
you,
that.
Jesse.
Somewhat. Word doesn't. That's why you let them go in one ear and out the other one.
Let me move on here because we can go down this rabbit hole, and I love it. I love it. I love where your mind's at on all these issues. What's the deal with being gay?
What's the deal with being gay?
If that's what they want to be, there's nothing. Everybody.
He just structured the question like how Jesse Lee Peterson structures questions for. That's hilarious.
Entitled to stay into their hell if they wanted to. But if they want to overcome it, they can. They can overcome it, but if they want to stay in their hell, they can die in their hell. No big deal.
I've met very happy gay men. In fact, gay means happy, if you believe in words.
But again, they may have false happiness, but they have
Yeah,
no
it's
peace.
false happiness for sure.
And again, if
How
they,
can you say that?
Because if you're not overcome evil, you have no peace.
Did you overcome being gay, Jesse?
I never had to worry about overcoming that.
Okay. And then you say that gay is a cover up for evil. What did you mean by that?
Everyone that's born through their mothers have to overcome that feminine spirit. They have to overcome anger. And there are people that are into all kinds of things. We all have to be born again of the Father. And so what I'm saying to the people, if they were to really start working on themselves, because our battle is a spiritual battle, and if every human being adult human being took control of their own life as an individual and work on themselves, they can overcome all things, all these things that they think that they are, and which other evil people are trying to confirm that that's who you are because they're evil. There's nothing in life that you cannot overcome, but you got to start working on yourself. And our battle is a spiritual battle. We're not our thoughts. We're not our feelings, emotions. We're not our bodies. And we have to overcome the identify with those things. And I promise you, you can be free. You can have perfect peace right here on earth.
Jesse, you helped men become straight, right? That's part of one of the projects you've worked on in your long career of philanthropy.
No one can help anyone be anything. Only God can change your life. You can't help me. I can't help you. That's why you have to. That's why you have to lead people. That's why you have to lead people in their hell.
Okay, but you worked with gay men, helping them find the path to straightness.
I work with all kinds of people. Hermaphrodites, murderers, white, black.
Do you think being gay is like being a rapist or a murderer?
I think being that is a false identity, so they're lost in a false identity.
Would you rather be gay or a murderer?
I would rather be either.
But you got to choose.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You have never made a choice.
I tried to get you, Jesse, but you're too slick. You're too slick for me.
Why are you trying to get me? That's not masculine. Why? You're playing a woman's role.
Excuse me, Jesse. War. There's nothing more masculine than war.
You're playing a woman's role in trying to get me. Men are not supposed to play the female game of trying to get. Men lead the way. They don't try to get. That's a woman's role.
Jesse, I'm a man and I'm doing battle. There's nothing more masculine than battle.
Who are you doing battle with?
With you.
Why? I'm not doing battle with you.
Well,
I didn't
you
even know we
you
were
don't
having
know
a
that
battle.
you aren't yet, but we're interlocutors.
And why? I thought we were friends. Why?
I thought we were friends.
I'm a fan of your interviewing style, so I'm trying to exhibit some of your styles back on you. But obviously, ideologically, we are completely unaligned. It's friendly banter. But you called me a woman.
You called me a woman.
I said that if you're doing battle with me right now, you're playing the woman's game. But
is battle a woman's game?
That kind of battle is.
Oh.
Let me ask: are you a good person?
Oh, why you gotta hit me with that? That's such a. Only God can say. That's how you would answer it.
And what do you say?
I say what God says.
What do you say?
What God says.
And what does God say?
I don't know. I'm not arrogant enough to presume what God would say.
And so, are you a good person?
I try to be.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
You're not answering.
I said I try to be.
You try to be what?
Try to be
come
what?
on, Jesse.
You try to be what?
I try to be a good person.
By doing what?
Good people things.
Good people things.
Like what?
Like tucking my kids in bed at night.
Why do you call that good?
Is it evil?
Why do you call it good?
Dude, you're the best at this. Well, a big part of what you talk about is the man's role.
Why do you call that good?
What? It's the parents' role to stay at home and be present in their children's lives.
He's gonna say that's the woman's role.
And why do you call that good?
You're right. It is evil.
Why do you call it good?
No, you're right. It is evil to kiss your bed.
He's trying to get him to say that that's because God has said that is good. I would assume that that's where he's going with that.
I never said it was evil. I never said it was evil, but you said it was good, but you won't tell me why you call it good.
I just did.
Why?
Because it's nice to be nice to your kids.
Does niceness mean good?
Well, I think, if we're using words in any way as defined, then yes, nice does mean good.
And how's that?
Oh, come on. Let me ask you a question, Jesse. You're
But you never
filibustering me.
No, I'm not. You never did answer the question of why do you call that good? Does your wife obey you?
My wife and I, we make decisions together, so I wouldn't use the word obey.
Does your wife obey you?
If something made me uncomfortable and I expressed that to her, she would probably respect my wishes, depending on what it was. But yeah, she obeys me.
Does your wife obey you?
I just said yes, she does obey me.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So, alpha. Oh, Jesse, let me ask you. Does your wife obey you?
No.
Beta! Got you again.
Amazing.
Got you again. Let me ask you a question.
I don't have a wife. That's why she does obey you.
That's beta, though.
Beta. No, it's not.
Oh, come now.
No.
Why isn't being a single man beta?
I didn't say it was.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
When?
Yes, you did. I said, Let me ask you another question. There's a paradox with the gay thing that it's kind of maybe obvious to some, but I do like to question people on this. If God made us, did God make us perfect? Did God make us, is God perfect? Let's start there.
God is perfect, and he made us perfect.
So then why are people gay?
Because we went astray. I don't think he made us perfect.
Because they've been turned away from God by turning them away from their earthly father.
Did God create the universe and everything in it?
He did.
So then God is the one steering them away from being straight.
No.
No, Satan is through the mother.
But he created Satan. He, as all-powerful God, he controls
yes,
Satan.
but he allowed them to have free will.
Right.
So then he's the one tempting people to be gay. God.
No.
Where was I wrong in the logic?
The whole thing, I just told you, no, it's not from God, it's from evil.
No, but God
And it
created evil. God created evil.
No, he didn't.
Right. Well,
The
God
lack of
created
God is
Satan,
evil.
And yes, through Satan, evil comes.
So God, this is part of God's plan, is to turn men gay.
No.
I don't know what you got with this gay thing, but
well, this is something you talk a lot. Jesse, you talk a lot about gay people.
That is not. I'm telling you, no. God created us perfectly, and when you return to the Father, you will overcome that old nature that is made of anger, and you will return to your natural nature that's made of good, which is the nature of God. But you gotta overcome anger. And the way that, for those who might be listening, one or two in your crowd that's listening that want to overcome, I'm talking to them because I know most people love their hell, and they love the hell that they live in, and they love imposing their hell on others.
So speak to them, reach out to them.
But those who want to overcome it, I want them to know is that they have to overcome anger. And when you overcome anger, you must forgive your mother for imposing her will on you, trying to live through you, control you, turning you away from your father, and forgive your father for not protecting you. He loved you. He just
he's not
your
going
mother.
to.
And when fathers leave, they don't leave their children. They leave the mother of the children, but the mother makes the children think that the father leave them. And so for those who want to overcome fear and doubt and loneliness, suicidal thoughts, the gay, lesbian, drug addicts, alcoholics, pot smoking, all these things that the emotional stuff, they can truly overcome that if they
You
forgive
accept
their
it now?
mother for turning them away from
Jesse,
their father.
would it surprise you if I told you I'm 15% gay?
Neither it wouldn't surprise me, and neither would I care. That's your problem, not mine.
15%. Is that better than 100%? Jesse, don't make it seem like I'm bringing it up out of nowhere. You talk about gayness all the time.
I talk about everything all the time.
Well,
my show is about whatever. My radio show is about whatever the people call in for, and the father state we deal with different issues.
Can you
but do you have like? Are you able to move on because of time? Do you have like?
No, I have all the time
topics?
in the world, but I understood you only had an hour, right?
Right, and I'm talking about my time.
So how much time do you have left? Because
and the gay thing is a rare topic on my show.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: you're not gay, right?
That's not your business.
That's
not your business. But you make the gayness a lot of people's business when you
No, I
discuss
don't.
their.
I make it no one's business. Do you want to act like a man?
Do you live in
or
hell?
Do you want to act?
Do you
talk
live in
like
hell?
A man, or do you want to? Hey, look. I put aside my time. I thought you wanted to deal with issues to help folks.
Oh, I
Is
hope
there
that I
anything
don't.
else you
That
wanna
he
talk
doesn't
about?
set.
'Cause I don't want to play the woman's game with you.
So, well, let me ask you this because I know
Do you
you.
have any other topic? One last time, you can talk to your brother-in-law Moses about this, and he'll help you deal with that and overcome it.
Sure.
Or
Jesse, why did
forgive-
you like this? Why did you like
or
this
for-
tweet by Your Daddy
Or
OnlyFans?
forgive your mother. Forgive your mother.
He's giving a thumbs
and
up.
she will.
Jesse, why did you like this post from Your Daddy OnlyFans? Part 2 with Sean Boy UK.
I have no idea
It's
what that
two
is.
men kissing,
I have no idea.
and they're
what that
muscular
is.
and very
Well, this guy
bear-like.
lied to me
They
about
really think that you're like running your Twitter and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I have no idea. what you're
Really?
talking
Wait, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be running your Twitter?
So why did you?
you really think he would?
Are you?
Yeah, what-
Is
Why
the
do you think he
producer?
is? What makes you think he is?
Oh, so did you like it? Yeah, did you like it? Are
Was
you
that-
gay?
I don't know any. I have no idea.
Bro thought he was cooking
Well,
right
Jesse,
there.
this is important. The people want to know.
Let me.
Your producer got real quiet. What did he like the gay porn?
Self-report.
It was one of you two. Someone fess up.
They're hanging up.
Someone fess up.
That's what you want me to do, so you can say I ran. But you guys said you wanted to talk about real stuff.
This is real,
put my-
man.
Jesse,
this is a real tweet that was liked.
Jesse-
I really set aside
Jesse,
time
an
to be on you,
expose
though,
by the
but
Daily
I had-
Beast, they
I
said that
had-
several men had sexual encounters with you, some as long as 10 years. Is that true?
Say hello to Moses, buddy. I'm out. I'm out.
All right.
Was your producer?
Oh, he hung up.
I want to know about these accusations that he's talking about. Jesse Lee Peterson, gay accusations. Far right, anti-gay. Is he a pastor? I didn't know that he was a pastor. I just see clips of him on Instagram and stuff. Far right, anti-gay pastor. Jesse Lee Peterson allegedly had secret same-sex relationships. When it comes to most anti-gay Talking heads, they always seem to have some skeletons in their closet waiting to come out. Okay, this is definitely just like a fucking hit piece because they just said when it comes to most anti-gay, I'm not gonna believe anything that this fucking thing says. But that's the thing that they always say. They're like, oh, if you're against gays, then you're probably gay. It's fucking stupid shit like that. Ooh. Uh-oh. Is a token black man white conservatives and far right advocates love to champion. He denies the existence of white privilege, is against black people taking advantage of government programs. Yeah. And most importantly, can't stand homosexuality. Peterson also bizarrely believes that any woman that is climaxing is becoming a man because it's not normal for women to do that. Is he talking about women having orgasms? That's funny. That's a funny quote. What? Oh, the chickens are fine to roost. Finally come to realize that two former male associates of Peterson alleged that they had same-sex relationships with him. Two of Peter's former male associates came out in June with on-record interviews saying that they engaged in sexual activities with him, while another man said he purposely. These allegations about the pastor who in public faced heterosexual having like an earthquake through the manosphere. When did this come out? July 20. The right wing.
All right.
Well, you tried.
That was funny.
Damn.
He really hates gay people. Like, really hates gay people. He kind of, I think he got a sniff of what we were doing when I mentioned something about gayness in the top. It's so funny. All of a sudden, he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like.
In America, the bravery of a few protects freedoms for us all. When they return home, we owe them a debt of gratitude. But Washington politicians like Matt Rosendale use them for political games. He voted against pay raises for our troops and opposed ending vaccine mandates. Here in Montana, he blocked programs to make it easier for vets to get the care they need, the homes they deserve, and the opportunity they were promised. Call Congressman Rosendale and tell him our veterans deserve better.
Ah, why would you attack mine?
A good 30% of everything he discusses.
Yes.
Is like gayness, women are evil is
gay?
another one. So it's so funny. All of a sudden, you don't want to talk about it. He liked that shit. You could tell.
He
For
100%
sure.
liked
Who is he like? The Rock. He's not managing his Twitter account.
Why was his producer so quick to be like, no, it was me? Pretty
Maybe
much
he's
is what he said.
Maybe he's gay. Maybe his producer is affirmative action.
I mean, it could be. Yeah, affirmative action hire. You're right. Yeah.
I didn't know you were.
Let's see if Jesse P. Peterson or Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse Lee Peterson liking a gay tweet. Darn. Let's see what he does here. Does he attack that green? Shit. Not what we wanted. Oh, shit. Does that 14 hit my 14? All right, I get another 10. Ah, shit. He got a 10. Yes. Was it this October 8? Like, this is 2020. Oh, what the fuck? Oh. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Amazing. Amazing.
Of course, I love gay people, and I think being gay is something you're born, an identity you're born into, and I think that there's nothing evil or wrong about being gay. I think it's extremely human to be gay, and I think it's I think love is love, no matter how it's expressed, and I think that's really all that matters. But Jesse is someone who is deeply homophobic and hateful towards gay people specifically, and that is why I followed that line of questioning with him. So
that was fun, though.
I wish he didn't run.
Yeah. Can we just go back to what the Moses thing
That
was all
was
about?
so fucking
Okay,
weird.
so this is my theory, and I was saying this before the show even. His producer is a fan of YMH, so I thought potentially a fan of ours as well, or at least knows us, or knows
Sure,
of us.
I
Could have seen
guess.
you on YMH, Ethan.
So you think the producer fed him that to try and
exactly
throw Ethan off
I
balance?
mean,
Well,
he doesn't know anything about like frenemies drama. There's no way, right?
Yeah, no.
Although gays do love frenemies.
This guy know you gay?
So therefore,
there was a big. I'm just saying, you know.
Amazing.
Fascinating stuff.
We're
well,
for the
unfortunately,
game.
that's probably the only time we'll get him because that didn't end too well. And we were so close to the end, but I guess it was kind of inevitable.
Frankly, I had a lot more questions, but I sensed he was going to bail.
He was losing faith.
I didn't want to get stuck in a topic, so I moved right on. The God paradox thing really tripped him up too.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't. He really lost his way there.
Yeah.
That was weird.
It said, I have more questions now. He didn't deny being gay.
He never thought
You
about
asked him
that?
like the most basic philosophy 101, like nature of evil question, and immediately broke his worldview.
That's what blows my mind though, because I think it was Ollie who I was doing that with too.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they live in this bubble where like the most basic level of challenge
No, there's a lot of people who are Christians who have thought about those questions.
Challenging their doctrine is like unthinkable. It's absurd. It's dishonest.
Yeah.
Because everybody accepts the premise that God is perfect and whatever. So when I said, so if God created gay people and he's perfect and the universe is perfect, then God created gay people.
He didn't create gay people. He allowed us to have free will. So then we're away from God, and when we're away from God, it's the absence of God that is evil.
He wants
evil is really nothing. It's just the absence of God.
Gay people. God wants gay people. God loves gay people. He loves everybody.
Well, yeah, that is true.
Yes, he does.
God actually
He doesn't
loves
like
bears.
he doesn't like the actions.
The tweets we saw.
Now is the
That was
thing
exciting
to do.
because obviously we never want to say anything unless you have your one-on-one with whoever is calling in. But when the producer said something, I was like, "Fuck yeah, we could tag in now."
I wish. Yeah. I gave a note to the guys that when we're debating, I prefer if there's not too much chiming in because I don't want it to feel unfair, like the person's being ganged up on.
Definitely.
Because
Yeah,
it can make them feel like cagey when
Right.
everybody's coming at them.
Understandably.
And
so.
they'll hang
Yeah.
on to anything. You don't want to give them any out as to why you dominated the debate, to be honest.
Oh yeah, just to elaborate again to drive the point home of why I was doing that, since it would probably seem somewhat cruel to people who are unaware of the context, but he is alleged by several men to have entered into long-lasting gay relationships with them, 10 years in some cases, and it's I think pretty I think it's so interesting. I mean, he's like the epitome of the is it even closeted? He's like the closeted self-hating gay man that it's really a tremendous thing. And I think it's interesting to, as a person who talks for a living, I mean, that's his whole job. He does radio. I thought it'd be interesting to explore that concept, but he's afraid of it. He's scared.
Oh yeah, and I think it's so apparent with all the stuff he's saying about mothers and fathers and them being bad and stuff. It has to be internalized things, in my opinion.
So what you're saying is that you admit that that's what causes gay people is
no.
If you
It's
know
like
anything
so
about
specific.
his history,
Yeah.
he's talking about the relationship with his mother
Right, yeah.
and his father. And interestingly, he has a son. However,
that it's
he
usually
left the
caused
son
from
and the mother.
trauma.
When the child he wasn't even there when the child was born. He bailed on them, so he was an absentee father. So everything he stands for is in stark contrast to the reality of his life. I wish he would just be an openly gay man. That's heaven. He thinks it's hell. He's never been to a pride parade, okay?
Actually,
Yep.
he mentioned going to a pride parade to see what it was all about. I don't know if he actually followed through.
He was
but-
doing some.
Yeah,
He
doing some
knows what-
investigative work.
He was deep undercover. Yeah.
Right.
You don't look gay.
I'm gonna see his ass in the parade, like dancing and shit. I'm
Chasing the
undercover.
crowd.
Yeah. Lesbians.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that this
Also,
stuff.
he'd look great in rainbow.
I'm surprised nobody's ever done this to him before. Maybe they have, but I feel like nobody's ever done this to him.
He's been confronted before, but he caused a car accident to get away from it.
What?
Yeah. Hold on,
Oh yeah, that's the
What?
best clip ever.
Yeah.
Wait.
He just runs so.
I sent it in the group chat last
Oh,
night. You
did
guys
I
didn't-
miss that?
oh,
I didn't know it was related to.
Yeah, no, that's why he was desperately trying to get away. Hold on one sec, I'll drop the clip.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat. He's an interesting guy.
You
And
guys
he,
go.
he hates black people and he loves white people, which is
Yeah.
real interesting.
He said the idea of this country becoming white people becoming a minority in this country keeps him up at night. He said we need to make more white babies.
Oh, somebody hit him with the
So weird.
Oh, it's Young Turks.
Yeah.
So they hit him with some like guerrilla reporting, like some on the what do you call that? Like
Ambush.
an
Paparazzi?
ambush,
They
yeah,
ambushed
an
him.
ambush recording.
This
All right,
is
let's
so fucking
let's take a look here.
Muted on YouTube.
Hollywood fixed it.
Yeah.
He's a predator. He may have even hit on David Pacman.
Oh yeah, that's
And
another
he
thing.
ran-
David Pacman, a good guy, a friend of the show, said he says he was a little handsy with him.
Really?
And David is not a liar. He is
No, yeah,
not
I
by any
believe
means.
him.
He made a video saying I was gonna ask him about it, but he bailed. He ran. That's it. And by the way, by his logic, beta.
Let's see it.
Here, let's go.
Ran away and caused an accident when someone confronted him. Here's the video.
Hey, Jesse Peterson. Martin Francis here.
This guy should be using stamps.com. I'll be honest. None of this would have ever happened.
Yeah, you could have avoided this whole scenario.
He'd be saving money and shipping from home, man.
Saving time.
Code H3.
Yep.
How are you? So, I'm the first man in your whole career. I am the first man in your whole career that you have run from. Like the chicken song that you played.
Why is he already running?
You are
Like, what is he? He suspects something already.
I think he already knows who this guy is.
Okay.
We'll see later.
Gay? Running from me. You're running from your what you've been doing for 31 years. Trying to get us killed
You
here.
hear that?
Yeah, I did. What happened?
Jesse's so
though?
upset that he tried.
Oh, he didn't cause that, did he?
He didn't wait for the flashing lights or whatever.
I think God caused that to help him get away.
Yeah.
You'll see the crash in a second.
Oh, you see more of it? Okay.
Yeah.
I went back a little bit, but now the internet's being weird.
Fucking YouTube. Try refreshing.
Gay?
Gay?
Hey, Jesse Peterson.
Oh, here it is. Here's it.
Career that you have run from. Like the chicken song that you played. You are running from me. You're running from your what you've been doing for 31 years. Trying to get
Oh my
us
God.
killed here.
What?
What the fuck? Okay, to be fair to Jesse.
That looks like a crosswalk. I don't know.
Yeah. That. I don't think that was really his fault.
I don't think
he like
that's
barely
his fault.
stepped
I don't
out
know.
of the street and immediately
I think it's
somebody.
funny as
No,
hell,
they're
but-
breaking for him. For
No,
sure.
I get it,
I
but
know.
you like.
It's one of those flashing light ones too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I
it's
guess I'd
not
have to
his
see the
fault.
intersection.
It is a crosswalk, so he's not legally at fault, but he definitely caused
Yeah.
just running out in the street like that.
That was awesome. I want to see the pictures.
Yeah.
Jesse's so upset that he tried to cross the street before he should have.
Is there a
And
crosswalk?
caused these-
No. Sorry, this is propaganda. I gotta defend you.
Yeah, no, that's illegal.
There's no light.
It's not a light.
I thought it
He
was.
had the right of way.
Yeah, if you step out like that.
Jesse, you see, I'm not all bad. I got your back.
Yeah,
on this
no,
one,
we've cleared you.
I'm a beta. I'm sorry.
Beta.
Missed one of them.
Beta.
Now that said, it is still funny that he's running away from.
Cars to stop
Absolutely.
There you go.
and batch in.
Oh my.
Years ago, the convent stole our children.
Someone's trying to cover their tracks. No one has something to do with all of this.
I'm just trying to find my child!
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal of their
Bro,
life.
this is so intense. This.
White guy
what
in
the
a black
fuck?
guy costume.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that guy? The one that talk. Why are you gay?
Oh.
So you're a gay man.
Yeah.
Jesse Lee. Like
Muddy the Water is calling everything an op. Also, it's
Really?
pretty rough to sift through
You're,
those things.
you're
Yeah.
you're a lady. You ever see that guy, the black
Oh.
interview guy? You're a woman. What's his name?
Are you talking about Jesse Lee Peterson?
Yes, Jesse Lee Peterson.
Who is he saying that to?
He's good. Jesse,
Oh,
but like
the-
he
the
looks like a
JLP.
man in costume.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
so-
he looks like a
He
CIA
looks like
agent.
the
in
eBay
a-
mask.
Yes.
You remember when they were saying that?
Were
They were
people
saying,
saying
they
that?
were saying that white people were buying super realistic black people masks and committing robberies.
Wish I would have thought of that.
That's a good idea.
Isn't that funny?
That's a wicked good idea.
Do you want to start a gang and do a string of robberies?
I love
that.
Yeah. You want to make a thing out of it?
Why are you a
All
whore?
right.
This guy, that looks like a white guy in it. That looks like a Jewish guy in a mask.
Whoa. It looks like he's exactly wearing the mask that you can buy.
What's he on?
These men.
Can you
they
pause
go
it?
looking for-
Can you go to eBay.com and type in super realistic black person mask?
What the fuck?
There you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
And that's not even that realistic. They have
Yeah,
ones
that's
that are.
like-
Keep scrolling down.
How about Google it?
Yeah, Google it. realistic black man silicone mask. We need to get some of these.
I like that
That's
one.
the one right there. White men wearing black faces. Yeah, as if that's happened more than one time, if even that. Is that Evander Holyfield?
Oh,
Holy
wow.
shit, look at that guy.
How did they find out? How did they find out it was him?
Someone snitched. Cross-dresser silicone mask wholesale.
Ooh.
Yo, how's it going, guys? Today I got y'all banger, a badunga, a badanga, if you feel me, you know what I'm saying. But today we've got some peak content. So yesterday, you know, if y'all watched yesterday's video, you know, at the very end of it, I was talking about how we were gonna cover Vouch's hour-and-a-half-long video, because during me editing that video and making it, Vouch released his video, and it pissed me off because I was like, damn, okay, well now I can't fucking respond to it. So we're gonna get into some goony behavior today from Vouch. And so basically, I'm not coming at him, you know what I'm saying? I've been coming at him, you know, but I'm willing to hear him out for this hour-and-a-half-long video, and that's a crazy long time.
Wait, I thought that Tom Dark was Turkey Tom. Are they not the same person? I thought that they were the same person. Are they different people or same people? I'm confused now. Or did he put his own name in his title? I hate when there's fucking bots in the game. It sucks. Oh man, my eye hurts. Did you see that fucking thumbnail? It's like, Ben Shapiro's a Nazi. Like, what the fuck? No. I wonder if the Jordan Peterson Destiny debate came out. That was like... When is it gonna happen? Let's watch this. I know that it's gonna be biased.
When we
This guy
started
is
on
biased as
Kajabi,
fuck.
that initial week, the first week the cart was open, we grossed over $100,000, and ever since, it's been six-figure launches. There is seamless integration between their different products. We've used several products from Kajabi's product suite. The course, we pair that with the community, and we have some one-on-one coaching available as well. They've done it all for you. All you have to do is come in and add your knowledge. It's good from a business.
It's not the corporate death penalty, but it could be the death of Donald Trump's bank account. Judge Angron in New York State Court has ordered Donald Trump to disgorge, that is, pay hundreds of millions of dollars as a penalty for years of malfeasance. And for reasons we'll discuss, he might be on the hook for almost $500 million.
A crooked New York State judge just ruled that I have to pay a fine of $355 million for having built a perfect company. Great cash, great buildings, great everything.
Now, Judge Angron starts his decision by noting that the common law fraud rules in New York made it far too easy for crooks to get away with fraud. Quote, in mid-20th century New York, to judge by contemporary press reports and judicial opinions, fraudsters were having a field day. So by the 1960s, New York decided to pass a law replacing common law fraud. That law grants the Attorney General the authority to seek an injunction against anyone who engages in repeated fraudulent or illegal acts or demonstrates persistent fraud or illegality in business transactions, to seek disgorgement of ill-gotten gains, to impose bans on individuals doing business in the state, and even to cancel business certificates. Now, Judge Engeron took judicial notice of the fact that New York City is one of the financial capitals of the world, and as such, the state of New York has an interest in an honest marketplace. Trump supporters, taking their cue from Trump himself, often say that everybody lies on their financial statements. That's just how it goes, and as long as he paid back the loans, then no harm, no foul. But Judge Engeron took offense to that characterization. Quote, timely and total repayment of loans does not extinguish the harm that false statements inflict on the marketplace. Indeed, the common excuse that everyone does it is all the more reason to strive for honesty and transparency and to be vigilant in enforcing the rules. Here, despite the false financial statements, it is undisputed that defendants have made all required payments on time. The next group of lenders to receive bogus statements might not be so lucky. New York means business in combating business fraud. And with that out of the way, the judge summarized what had already happened. And we've talked about this at length on this channel. In a decision and order dated September 26, 2023, the court granted the state summary judgment on liability solely for the first cause of action. The judge determined that Trump's main defense, that his statements of financial condition contained disclaimers and a worthless clause, did not shield defendants from liability for their material misrepresentations. The judge found that the Trump financial statements materially misrepresented the value of various properties, and the court ordered the cancellation of defendants' business certificates under General Business Law Section 130, the so-called corporate death penalty. Although the appellate division temporarily halted this cancellation pending the outcome of defendants' appeal of the summary judgment rulings. The judge then held a 44-day trial to decide the remaining causes of action, alleging illegality under Section 6312 by falsifying business records and financial statements, committing insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit those acts. And as you probably know by now, the trial did not go well for the Trump defendants. The judge's verdict first reviews the highlights and lowlights of the witness testimony. Donald Trump's testimony demonstrated that he signed off on all the financial statements, the SFCs, and sometimes offered his opinion on specific issues. Judge Engeron said that Trump frequently made wild claims. For example, he testified that he actually undervalued Mar-a-Lago, believing it is currently, quote, worth more than the most expensive private residence listed in the country by approximately 400%. There's no possible way that Mar-a-Lago, with its deed restrictions that last in perpetuity, is the most expensive property in the United States. The judge also considered an audio tape of Trump saying that 40 Wall Street was 72 stories tall when it was in fact only 63. Quote, when asked if he was misquoted in the Forbes article, Donald Trump replied, I don't know what I said. The judge went on, overall, Donald Trump rarely responded to the questions asked, and he frequently interjected long, irrelevant speeches on issues far beyond the scope of the trial. His refusal to answer the questions directly, or in some cases at all, severely compromised his credibility. So it turns out that you can only be a terrible witness on the stand for so long before people start noticing, and it hurts you in the judgments. The judge has already dismissed claims against Ivanka Trump because she was not involved in the preparation of the financial statements. Ivanka testified during the trial, but the court didn't find her terribly persuasive. Quote, on direct examination by plaintiff, Ivanka Trump had no recollection of any of the events that gave rise to this action. No number of emails or documents with her signature served to refresh her recollection. Notably, on cross-examination by defendant's counsel, Ms. Trump suddenly and vividly recalled details of the projects and her interactions with Vrablik. For example, after testifying on direct examination that she could not recall any of the details of her father's personal guarantee of the old post office loan, on cross-examination, she suddenly recalled, quote, there was a step down of the guarantee, if I recall, once the property was operational. Ivanka Trump was a thoughtful, articulate, and poised witness, but the court found her inconsistent recall depending on whether she was questioned by OAG or the defense suspect. In any event, what Ms. Trump cannot recall is memorialized in contemporaneous emails and documents. In the absence of her memory, the documents speak for themselves. As for Trump's nemesis, Michael Cohen, the court found him credible on some things, but also very skeptical at the same time. Quote, Michael Cohen was an important witness on behalf of the plaintiff, although hardly the linchpin that defendants have attempted to portray him to be. His testimony was seemingly compromised by his having pleaded guilty to perjury and by some seeming contradictions in what he said at trial. However, carefully parsed, he testified that although Donald Trump did not expressly direct him to reverse engineer financial statements, he ordered him to do so indirectly in his mob voice. Although the animosity between the witness and the defendant is palpable, providing Cohen with an incentive to lie,
Whenever there's really strong bots, the person in Australia always wins. It's such bullshit.
the court found his testimony credible based on the relaxed manner in which he testified, the general plausibility of his statements, and most importantly, the way his testimony was corroborated by other trial evidence. Again, with most high-stakes litigation, it's the documents that are really telling the story. The court called out Don Jr. for claiming that the Trump Organization, which he runs, filled the CFO position after Alan Weisselberg left. Quote, the role of CFO has remained...
I shouldn't have opened him up. Damn it. What the fuck? Just kill me. All right, let me die. That's annoying. All right. Let's see what. Here's a master. All right, I'm done.